some of it is readiness of whoever it's going to be implemented. Let's say, again, it's at a district or school level of just readiness of staff to implement. Sometimes they, the district or school may have implemented multiple strategies over the years, and people can be resistant. They feel like, oh gosh, this is another strategy. So I think really trying to build readiness and get people on board, and that's where I think exploration comes in a lot. And sometimes leaders skip that, and it becomes a challenge because we really haven't spent time exploring what we're implementing and getting people on board. But then I've seen leaders overcome this. How might they overcome this? And I think where I've seen it be successful is leadership really brings in the voice of who's going to be using the evidence-based practice, which is typically teachers, right? That really getting teachers on leadership teams and getting their voice early and having them be in the exploration and installation phase. Sometimes we feel like teachers don't have time for that, or principals, right? Like if it's a district initiative, really giving principals time to learn about the work and how it's going to work in their school, and then so that they can adapt it for teachers in an appropriate way, I think is something I've seen leaders do that really does overcome the challenge of buy-in or commitment. Not that you always get 100%, but at least you go in feeling like people really understand why we're doing it and how this evidence-based practice fits with other initiatives. Prior to the district really thinking about implementation science, there was not a lot of trust between the district and schools sometimes of like things that the district asked the schools to do, different practices, and I think something that was a challenge there is just around the kind of what I would call facilitated administration. That part of the driver's systems intervention was the feedback loop between the district and the school. So sometimes, if a district's just kind of saying we're going to implement this and there's no feedback loop for them to hear about the challenges the school is facing with implementation, whether they don't have enough trainers or they don't have enough people coaching or they don't have the resources they need, right? That oftentimes it's just not as successful, and the school feels very much alone in how they're implementing it. But I think what I saw this district do was really, again, bring those leaders, those principals into their district meetings and have real case examples of where they were struggling around implementation and where there were barriers. It might have been a policy that the district had or the state had, or it might have been a lack of a resource that they needed, right? They needed someone else to help coaching, or they needed more curriculum materials or whatever it was. And by doing that, that feedback loop was in place, and then it built trust, right? So then there was the ability for the district and school teams to be more cohesive and to be able to implement the practices that they were wanting to implement.